Good evening. We're on the air live. This is the Stunthangar Hangout. I'm Rusty, and it is Friday, September the 21st, 2018, and I'll be your host for the next couple of hours while we talk about aeromodeling and anything else you like to do, anything you like to play with in your shop or at the field, at the lake, wherever, whatever it is. And so welcome. We got 2 viewers already watching me on the YouTube side, and the links, as usual, are posted for Stunthangar Control Line forum members in the At the Bench thread on the forums if you want to come in with your camera and microphone and talk to us live. Otherwise, you can come in on the YouTube side. And there is Sparky, our first visitor. How you doing tonight, Sparky?
I'm doing all right.
Good. How you feeling? I think you said you were feeling bad the other night when you came into the tube and posted.
Oh, I was sick.
Oh, I'm sorry. I hope you're doing better now.
Oh, yeah. I'm all right.
Good. Do you have to take any time off of work, or
I missed a day. I just stayed at home. I had a sore throat, and I guess it's flu season or whatever.
Yeah, well, it is coming. I don't think there's any actual reported cases of officially the flu yet, but it'll be here soon enough. All the kids are back in school bringing crud home to their parents, and their parents are going to work and spreading it around. So the vicious cycle continues. And Top Brent is in YouTube. He just came in. Hey, Brent, good to see you. We got a feedback loop going. Do you hear it on your side, Sparky?
No.
Okay. Well, maybe I don't think it's on my side, but I'll double check all the usual places. And no, I'm muted on YouTube. Sometimes the system just does it. We had to have Bob sign off the other night and come back on to get rid of it. Don't know what was up with that, but anyway, technical glitches. But in South Carolina here, it just keeps getting worser and worser. The hurricane moved north, dumping rain, and now all the rain's coming back down the rivers, and the water is still rising in a lot of not only coastal but some low country inland communities too. And they did 100 water rescues yesterday. I think that was North Carolina, and they've done 5,000 water rescues total so far. The only good news is that the cell towers that are out of commission right now are in the single digits. So maybe by the end of the weekend, they'll all be going again. So people had to evacuate in the middle of this week that hadn't had to evacuate up until then. Everything seemed okay after the storm, but we knew it was going to come down the rivers and flood us. And Sparky disappeared, and so did the feedback loop. But anyway, he'll probably be back in a minute. But yeah, that's the story in South Carolina. The storm just won't go away. And even after the wind and rain's gone, we're still getting our ass kicked. Not where I am. I'm okay in Columbia. I was lucky by a few miles. If I'd been a few more miles north, we would have gotten, and flooded and rained on too. But I'm glad I was one of the lucky ones. But I hate that so many people weren't. But anyway, so that's my sad story for the night. The good news is it's Friday. I'm tired, but I'm glad it's Friday. We got half a day at Huntersville tomorrow, so me and Wayne are going to be riding up there and playing with half a airplanes. That's always one of my favorite meetings of the year because I like flying half a, and I always get to put on a good exhibition. And let's see, flying control line stunt. That must be Charles. Hey, Rusty and Sparky, I need to do some work on my airplane tonight, so I'll listen to the show and check in later. Okay. That sounds good, Charles. Appreciate you letting us know you're with us.
There is some feedback there.
When you signed off, the feedback went away, but now that you're back on, it started at first, but I don't hear it now.
I hear it.
Do you? What are you hearing? Are you hearing me repeating, or are you hearing yourself repeating, or both?
Now it's gone.
It's just the Goog tube. I don't think.
Let me get a breath in here. I had a strange thing happen. I got a strike against me for the Dick Woolsey thread. Let me pull that up. Let's see here. They put a strike against my Google account for the Dick Woolsey thread for sexual content.
What content is that?
They have that artificial intelligence. Dick Woolsey memory is the thread. They had that artificial intelligence, so it was a false positive. They thought that it was sexual content. So I put in a not a complaint, but a request for a review.
Yeah,
and they took it off. But I can't believe they're starting to strike us now. And oh man. It's ridiculous.
Oh well. Anyway, I hope we'll have a good group tonight. We had one of the best shows when we wrapped up Monday night. We got some good information broadcast about the rules on spectral lines for combat. And Mike Leinke had a lot of contributions. So did Bob Hunt. And so I got an email from Will Davis saying we ought to get everybody that's on the committee that votes to watch that. But I could combine some of what Mike talked about in two different shows to put together some good information, because there's a lot of confusion about it, what you can and can't use, what is and is not spectra. And I can't repeat it all, but he can.
Tomorrow is a paint day for me. I'm going to take my airplane over to John's and paint it up. Hopefully.
You're going to have good dry air to work with.
Doesn't matter. It wouldn't matter if it's humid as hell, because it's only time that matters when you're putting the clear on.
Mm.
But I got it pretty close to. I mean, it's sanded out. It's not my normal situation where I primed it all up. There's no primer on this, but I'm going to shoot a little primer on it tomorrow. Let me pull this back. Shoot a little primer on the fillet areas, and then get the thing painted up. There it is. I'm hoping that it turns out all right. I got the wheel doors primed up and sanded and ready to. That'll be the only thing that turns out okay. Kind of hard working here.
Yeah, you got to have enough room to spread out, which doesn't look like you've got a whole lot of room once you put the plane on the table. Not much left.
I don't have a table I can put this on.
Have you flown anything lately?
Flew up in Cleveland last weekend. .604 was my score. Bob McDonald won. He won with a 616. Ridiculous numbers.
So how much difference was there in the appearance points? Is that where he got you, or was it somewhere else?
No, I got the highest appearance points anybody there. I got 19. But he just outflew me. Bob McDonald's a good pilot.
Yeah, I don't know him. I've heard the name a lot of times, but never have. Never have.
I'm really tired. I hope somebody comes on. There we go.
You're Steve. You got your wish.
Hey,
Hey,
man.
what's
How's
going
it
on, man?
So you gonna get some painting done on your airplane this weekend?
Yeah, it probably won't come out as good as I want, but
Why is that?
because of the situation I'm in, I have no room to work on anything.
Oh, yeah, it really sucks.
It needs another month of sanding. You know, it's all about the sanding.
What do you got on Alexa there?
No, this little thing here.
Yeah.
No, it's a socket. Snap-on socket. That's a battery charger. You know, for charging your phone.
Oh, okay.
That was free. Cost me $200.
Is that about the size as an Alexa? I've never seen one.
No, it's smaller.
Yeah, it's a little bit. Well, they got some that are shorter and stuff like that. They're doing different things with them.
Yeah.
Nope, I'm not going to have the CIA living in my front room.
And they already watch you through your cell phone.
Yeah, when it's wrapped in tinfoil.
Yeah.
Yeah, they probably watch this and everything else.
Yeah, they're probably riveted to this.
Boring.
Crazy modelers. We better watch them, guys. Yeah, I talked to Charles, and he didn't know if he's going to get on tonight because his son has something for band. It's probably marching band or something like that.
Because he's got to work on his airplane, so he's going to listen to us and check in later.
Who's going to work on his airplane?
Charles. Who were you talking about?
Charles there from California?
Yeah, Charles Carter.
Yeah. Oh, he's working on an airplane right now?
Yeah, he's in his shop. So he said he might check in later.
Oh, okay.
Hey, Charles, if you're listening, I got some news. We had another black guy. He knew me up there in Cleveland. I can't remember his name, but he's another control line guy. Man, there ain't many black guys in this hobby.
Wasn't there? Well, there's a few.
The guy in Cleveland, was he skinny?
No.
No.
Pretty good sized guy, about 6'2", maybe 250 pounds, 220 pounds, somewhere in there.
We got a Virginia guy named Jimmy over here. He's a skinny guy, kind of.
I can't remember. Keith is the guy. Keith something or other. He's from the Detroit area.
I'll tell you a super nice guy, black guy who flies, Leonard Smith.
Where's he from?
Don't know that name.
I think he's from the New Jersey area.
Oh, okay.
Super nice guy. I forgot about him. So we got, I think about five black guys.
We don't have any women.
Samantha.
Come on the show except for Samantha.
Now Samantha's 18. I guess she doesn't qualify as a kid anymore. So.
Well, I still call my 33-year-old son my kid.
Yeah.
Well, how about oh man, the guy from New Zealand,
Gerald.
Gerald.
Yeah. Gerald's wife, she flies.
Oh yeah, she flies. You got the lady from Canada, Naomi.
Naomi.
Yeah, she flies a little bit.
There was one in Philly, but she's not with us anymore. Jennifer, that was her name.
Oh yeah, Jennifer.
In fact, we flew in the same beginner contest when we both started up. Larry Wilkes was helping both of us.
Yeah, she used to go to Brodak.
This is just not real exciting for women.
I don't know. To me, it's more like it's like a therapy or whatever. You know, it's like you go down and you build and you do things, and it takes your mind off of other shit in your life. Gives you something to escape to.
Yeah, you're right. You got to think so hard. If you're going to do well at all, you got to think so hard about what you're doing to build and fly the planes that, yeah, it's good therapy. It gets your head back onto something other than daily problems and things that piss you off. It's okay if you get pissed off at your planes and stuff. That doesn't last.
But yeah, it's just, I don't know what's fun, and to some people aren't fun. It's not fun to others, I guess. I don't know.
T-Bone Tom just signed in. He says hello, prepping for vintage combat on Sunday. And yeah, that's Tom Luciano. He's the guy that sent me the Super Satan and the Fox 36 36X.
You got them mounted down there?
No, I still got it sitting here next to me, right there.
That's pretty cool how they cut that intake down that way.
Yeah, that is pretty cool. That's that diamond-shaped intake.
So what does that do over the ones that are cut slant back? I've seen them.
I think it just looks cool.
Oh, okay.
Tom can tell us difference. I don't think it's got a functional reason other than it looks cool. I'd probably pulls air in easier. When you're running a bladder, you can have all the air you want. It'll take what it needs, mix it with fuel, and go.
I ended up with another brand new Super Tiger 60. Brand.
Where'd you get that at?
Cleveland.
Yeah,
oh, I heard somebody was selling off a lot of stuff there.
Yeah.
Jack Snavely just hit us with a super chat. Thank you, Jack. I didn't get a chance to mention it at the introduction part, but if you people on YouTube want to hit that $sign at the bottom of the chat box, we appreciate it. That's walking around money for us, for Sparky to pay server fees and keep the equipment running. Thanks a lot.
I got to pay my help.
Yeah.
Yeah. The help likes that.
This is a nice
this, aren't you? Fridays and Mondays. Hell, you're getting rich.
Yeah, man.
I don't know who B&M Phase 1 is. This has been worked on. B&M Phase 1, but it had a letter from Phil Spellman. So I got to get a hold of Phil and see what the B&M Phase 1 stands for. Got a strange Venturi on it.
Yeah, it's really tall.
I'll just take it.
It is tall. Wow. You'd think that would inhibit airflow, but I guess not.
Velocity stack.
Yeah, velocity stack. That, and there's some that some motors will spray fuel back out of the carburetor.
Now, this actually on the Fox with the diamond intake, that's not even a Venturi actually. It's just a straight stack. Is that got a Venturi shape inside of it, Sparky, or is it just a straight tube?
Oh, this is Venturi.
Chris Hornady just came in with us on YouTube. Hey, Chris.
Hey, Chris. Oh, so somebody actually turned. Oh, that's right. Them are regular true Venturis on them things, isn't it? I forgot about that with Super Tiger. So that has to have the groove all the way around it. And
Yeah.
Oh, is the spray bar set out beside it? I didn't realize that.
Behind it.
Yeah, behind it. Yeah.
Where it's supposed to be.
I wonder if how many holes that has in it. If it just has one, or
I don't know. I haven't taken it apart, but I'm going to put this in my airplane and run it. It's brand new. Brand new.
My Thunder Tiger has got a 3-hole sprinkler around the neck of the Venturi.
you think it'll give you more power, Sparky, than your other one?
Oh, I wouldn't doubt it. I mean, I got 4. Actually, I got 5 Super Tigers here. I got one brand new in the box dish head, never been run. This one didn't have a box, and I got this one here, and I got 2 in my airplane. So that's 5 Super Tigers here. Everybody says, "Oh, they're so hard to come by." No, they're not. You got to keep your eyes open.
With everybody going to electric, you'd think it would be easier and easier.
Yeah, you know, it's like with me, the stuff I have, I'm going to keep just because I like it.
Yeah.
You know, probably will never be used or whatever, but
I'd be the same way. I'm attached to my internal combustion equipment.
That Super Tiger dish head would bring $250 on eBay.
was that just to make it look different, or is there something different with the head actually inside?
I have no clue. That's the later model.
Yeah.
That's 1980 and up, 85 and up, probably.
Yeah. Came in the blue box instead of the red and yellow box.
No, it came in a red box.
That was even after the blue box.
Oh yeah.
Here comes Bob Hunt. Hey, Bob, how you doing tonight?
Hey, how you doing?
Good.
Sorry, I'm late. I was assembling a wing.
Maybe you know, Bob. Who is B&M on the Super Tigers?
B&M.
Yeah, I got I bought a Super Tiger up in Cleveland, brand new, never run, and Phil Spellman, I guess, should know where it was because it had a note from Phil Spellman, but it looks like this. It's got a B&M Phase 1 engraved on the bottom. See this tall Venturi?
Huh.
All the head bolts have been, all the bolts have been changed over to Allen's instead of straight.
No, I don't know.
Well, y'all all know Alan Parrott.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's awful. I had no
He wasn't
idea.
that old, was he?
Hmm?
He wasn't that old, was he?
I don't know. He was probably in his 60s.
That's what I mean. He's not that old.
Yeah.
It's not that old now, Bob, but when we were young, that was really old.
Well, I'm going on 70. I'm 70. So, but I've just found out that 70 is the new 69.
Yeah.
So what was his name?
Alan Parrott. Yeah,
Alan
Parrott. Or in French, it might be Perret. He's from Louisiana, so that's probably a French.
A really nice guy, and a good innovator, a good builder, a real thinker. He did a lot of good fixturing and templating. He was an amazing craftsman.
Yeah, he had a great mechanical mind. His ability to conceptualize working mechanics in his head and bring them to life was great. And that little story that what's his name wrote, anyway, about the gyro, the Otto the gyro.
Oh, Griffin, like Griffin.
Yeah, and that was a funny little story. And me and Wayne were talking about that today. We've seen one. David Smith out at Huntersville's got one, and so maybe he'll bring it tomorrow. It's half a day, and that's usually when that thing shows up at Huntersville. But I've never actually seen it fly.
Yeah, it's a great loss. He was a good guy.
How did Huntersville? Did it get tore up at all, or flooded, or?
No, I don't think Huntersville did, but I think its altitude. I'm not sure what its altitude is in relation to how close it is to the rivers nearby and all. I just don't know the topography there, but I think they're probably okay. Charlotte itself, I think, is all right. They got a lot of rain, but I hadn't heard of any widespread flooding. But the waters are just beginning to rise in South Carolina. In some places, they've been evacuating places late this week that hadn't not had to be evacuated yet. And all of a sudden, yesterday they had to pull 100 people out of their neighborhoods because they were flooded out of their houses, and it's still rising. So, and we knew. I mean, they told us that as the storm moved up higher and higher, the rivers were going to swell, and we were going to get flooded out, and it's true. And so there's a lot of bad stuff still going on.
Yeah, I couldn't believe that one town got what 50 no 30 35.9 inches.
Wow.
Almost 3 foot of rain.
That might have been New Bern or one of those. I can't remember all the names in North Carolina, but it was one of those North Carolina towns.
Yeah, because that one guy came on there and he said something between 30 and 38 inches, and I'm like, yeah, okay. And they almost 36. I'm like, man, he hit it pretty close.
Yeah.
Guys, I want to take off. I'm gonna go to bed. Got to get up.
Right.
Good to see you, Spark.
All right, Sparky, take it easy.
Work tomorrow?
No, I'm gonna go paint.
Oh, okay.
All right. See you guys later.
Yep.
Good
Have
night.
fun.
Bye.
Kevin Muckleroy just dropped in on YouTube. He's watching us from over there tonight, getting ready to go fly Saturday. Good luck, Kevin.
Where's he gonna fly at?
I don't know. He's in California. I think he's one of those California guys. He's near Charles. I don't know how close. Maybe he'll type us up an answer for where he is. I can't remember everybody's location. I used to be pretty good at it, but the more members we've got coming in now, I can't keep them all straight with their locations.
Where's Jer?
Don't know. Hadn't heard from him today.
Yeah, didn't see Gerald or any of them. Hey, I got a question for you, Sparky. I was messing around and I found this old baby bee or whatever. Can you see them two holes in the?
Yeah.
Why would they do that for?
To run a fuel line from an external tank into the pickup nipple.
Oh, they put little nipples in there?
Well, that's where, it's got that little 1.25 inch long or so fuel tube in there that goes in front of the spray bar, and you just pull that tube off and run a line from an external tank to it.
Oh.
Get longer flights.
And it still breathes through the same backplate intake.
I was like, I wonder why somebody ruined that little tank. Drilled holes in it.
Yeah. You
Oh,
still have the same trouble with air leaks around all the various places that have to mate together when you screw that engine together. But it does let you fly longer with a baby bee.
I think the free flight guys also used to put eyedropper tanks in there for specific length flights, So
Yeah.
Yeah.
The exact amount of time metered out.
They didn't have timers.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I'd be willing to bet that's what those holes are for, though. There's no other good reason to bore holes in the side of it.
I seen it. I don't know where I even got it. And it's like, it's been around forever. And it's like, probably didn't do anything with it because they had the holes in the tank. Like, damn, all the fuel will run out if you went inverted.
But it had 2 holes. Did it have 2 holes in the side of it?
It had 2 holes in it.
I can't explain the other one.
Yeah, it's crazy. I don't know.
It's still got to pull a vacuum. Well, wait a minute. Let's see now. Now it's got to pull a vacuum in front of the reed, but it doesn't matter right there.
Yeah.
That's right, because the reed's got the venturi that goes straight back with the little flat ring sealing it into the breather right in front of the screen. So it doesn't matter whether the tank's got a hole in it, extra hole in it or not. Okay, because that's not where the vacuum has to be.
Okay. Yeah, because it breathes through the back of it.
Yeah.
So, do any more work on your I always want to call it Cavalier, and it's not a Cavalier, it's a Caprice.
Oh, me?
Yeah.
No, I've been busy. I'm so inundated with orders right now that I haven't been able to do anything but try to fill wing orders. I had to do two radio control F4D, giant scale F4D wings at Skyray.
Oh, wow.
Mine produces a kit for those. And so he had a rush order on those. I had to get those out. He became the squeaky wheel this week, Mark Frankel. So I just got those done today. I just reason I'm late tonight is I was downstairs assembling a humongous wing for one of my customers.
Oh, okay.
I actually brought it up. Built this in 20 minutes.
Wow.
Put that together in 20 minutes. Of course, all the parts were cut, but you can assemble it, in no time at all.
You gonna sheet it and everything for him, or you gonna send it?
Leading edges and it'll be a open bay with cap strips and and everything.
Beautiful.
Yeah, it looks nice.
Yeah.
Oh, I like this. I like the square balsa trailing in front of the trailing edge there.
Yeah, that's part of the design. That particular airplane had that in there, so I put it in. And, the constant cord wings are easy. You don't have to generate the ribs on the foam pieces out of the lost foam set. You just make a template, and then you can whack out as many ribs as you need.
Oh, okay.
So that's a lot easier to do.
What airplane is that for, Bob?
Humongous.
Oh, that's one of the humongouses. Huh?
Yes, a humongi.
Humongi.
I got a question for you folks that know how to cut ribs or stack sand. Is if you've got a tapered lead edge and you stack the ribs together and cut them out, and then when you sand them with your template, you've got a hard template on the ends to guide the sanding block, but that leaves you with a beveled edge on the lead edge where the from the taper from the small end to the big end, and when you assemble the plane, it seems like that would create a problem.
Well, actually, you want to taper up there. You want the front view of the rib to have the thickness taper in the angle in the rib, so the sheeting will lay right on that. And you want the front end from a top view to have the angle so it fits up against the leading edge when it goes on. The molded leading edge. Well, see, I don't do it with stack sanding.
Okay, that's kind of a duh question, wasn't it? Yeah.
Well, no, that's okay. I do it with the lost foam method, which I cut up a core at the rib stations I desire, and then I generate the ribs off of those pieces. I trace out a rib. Let's say I have a chunk of foam that has rib R2 and R3 on it. One side's R2 and the other side's R3. Mm-hmm. And I trace them off, cut them out slightly oversized, and then pin them back to the piece of foam from which they were laid out. And then block sand them until they match that piece perfectly. And now you have all those angles perfect. And then because the core is in the cradle from which the core was cut is just as accurate a negative representation of the wing shape as the core is a positive representation. So if you generate your ribs from the core pieces, the ribs are going to fit perfectly into the cradle.
Yeah.
You can't go wrong. And there's no stress in the wing.
Right. I hadn't thought far enough ahead when I asked that question then.
Well, what it is that people don't think about that when they buy a kit and it's laser cut.
Yeah.
Every single one of them ribs are cut square. There is no angle on that.
That's right. That's why this system is much more accurate than even laser cutting.
Yeah.
Right. Because what happens is they build that wing and it's not very strong. Well, you're only doing a very small edge on that piece of balsa.
I mean, it's not a real big deal because you're talking about a 16th-inch rib.
Right.
Really not that big a deal, and you know the glue will fill the gap. But you know, everything you can get rid of, you know, the more accurate you can build, the more accurate you're building. You know, so.
Yeah. And you don't got to use as much glue.
That's for sure. Yeah.
You know, stuff like that.
Yeah.
So, a lot of times when I get the laser cut kits, I'll stack all the ribs and pin them and then lightly sand them to get all that to when I
marks off.
Yeah. Kevin McElroy says he flies with Charles in Escondido, California. And that is a somewhere close to being a San Diego suburb, I believe.
What's that? Escondido?
Escondido, California. That's where Kevin McElroy flies with Charles Carter.
Yeah. Yeah, that's where Charles is
Ask
from.
him if he's anywhere near El Cajon.
Anywhere near El Cajon, Kevin?
C-A-G-O-N, El Cajon.
What is the English translation of cajon, or is it cajon? I know cajones is testicles, isn't it?
C-A-G-O-N, I think. C-A-G-O-N, cajon. I just wonder where that is.
I think it's down around there because I know my mom.
I'm sure we'll have an answer in a moment.
God, I wish I know these towns.
Geography class.
Vallejo. They tell everybody they lived in Valley Joe.
Say what, Steve?
Well, my mom and dad, my dad got, well, he enlisted in the Navy. And they got stationed out there in San Diego or whatever. So my mom told everybody they lived in Valley Joe. It was Vallejo. But I forget what they called El Cajon. She told me about that too. That other ones, everybody down there.
We moved out here in Hoon or Hula, somewhere around there. I think I was mentioning it before Bob came in, but Will Davis sent me an email today, Bob, and he said that our Monday show was the best one yet. The end of it he watched, and all of the information we talked about regarding the synthetic lines for combat and the possibility of using them on stunt was really informative, and he'd like to see us maybe either get those videos or have a video conference so we can repeat all of that with a little more forethought in our presentation.
I'd like to get Tommy Hampshire involved in this because he was the guy who co-wrote that proposal on those, and he did all the testing. So I would like to get him in on this, but I don't know if he'd be willing to do that or not. He's not much of a computer guy. So.
Yeah. Mike,
he knows a lot more about it from a technical point of view than I do. Hi, Dennis.
Mike Leinke knows a
Dennis
lot about
where's El Cajon at, Dennis?
Hey, Dennis.
That's down south, Southern California.
Boy, you got a bright shirt on tonight, bud.
Yeah.
Can you hear me okay?
Looks pretty cool.
Yeah, you need to turn it up.
You're a little muffled.
Yeah, you're not going to sneak out of here on us.
Yeah, I got a device I'm trying to use. It's not working out very good. Let me turn it off. I'm gonna have to go out and come back in.
Okay.
I'll be right back.
We had a couple of shows in a row when Mike came on, and on one of the shows he did a kind of a show and tell on different packages of lines, and combining all of that information would be good to do.
Those Ukrainian lines, those are the best thing I've ever flown on.
I want to find out where to get. I should have bought them when I was there.
Steve Yampolsky is kind of like his American contact, so you can call Steve. You know.
Now I think that Sparky said he's got, I forget how many feet of that line, and he doesn't like it because you can't tie the ends of it, or however they do.
Why not? We can tie the ends on it.
I think there's a way to tie every kind of line. There's a right knot for just about everything.
No problem tying the ends.
No, it's not really tie. It's, you know, whether you wrap it, you bring it around and wrap it and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I guess it's a hell of a deal to bend that stuff because it's soldered or whatever, however it's done.
Huh.
How they terminate it. But I don't, I've never used, I don't know. But Sparky had all that he said he'd sell. And I believe that's that Ukrainian line.
Huh. I'll tell you, I flew Tom Luciano's Crossfire on it, and it was like a different hobby. It was so good. And I like solids, which I feel are really good. I mean, I've always flown solids, and I like them, but this is even better than solids.
I've never seen solids and held them in my hand. Or how stiff are they? So I think of rolling them up onto the reel.
Well, you got to be careful. You can't let them go. They'll spring right off the reel. I had that happen out of VSC one day in practice session. I let go of it and it sprung all over the place, and it took 4 of us, running each line out individually to get them all straightened out. And I took a lot of grief from Warren T-Art, who also was using solids, and Bobby McDonald, who was using solids. And then later that day, I was vindicated because they both did the same thing. I got to give it back to them,
I inherited some brass-colored lines when Alan Brickhouse died from some of his
those are lace straights,
old stuff, and they kept getting all tangled up, and we'd straighten them out. Me and Wayne spent an hour straightening a spool out one day, got it back together, and as soon as we hooked it up and ran them out again, bang, they were tangled up. So I just threw them away. Yeah,
that may have been lace straights.
Now, are these Ukrainian? I thought they were kind of like a lace straight.
They're not lace straights. They're different than lace straights, but they have a similar look, but they're not lace straights.
And they're a 3-strand, right?
Yeah, they're 3-strand or 4-strand.
You told us, yeah, you said
lace straights were what, 3-strand or something like that.
Well, I'll tell you, they flew very, very well. There was no stretch in them. Airplane turned and locked, and felt really, really good. There was no friction. There was no friction on them at all. Just really, really good.
I should have looked into that kind of stuff more. It was the last day we were there that all of a sudden everybody had it, and I asked them, and so, they're pointing over there, has it. And it's like, well, I missed out.
That was Rustlin, the guy who producing them or making them available. I'm sure he's not making them. He's found a supplier.
Well, I can probably call. I got the card, the guy from China, and he bought a thing like that of it. So I guess he planned on using a bunch of it, but I should be able to find out who to get it from the Ukraine.
Yeah, well, you can. You get it from Rustlin. You go on Stunthangar and go onto the Ukrainian line thing, and his email is there. You can just email him.
Oh, okay.
He's a real nice guy.
Excuse me. We got some answers on YouTube. Jack Snavely says, yeah, they're close to Sandy. Let's see. El Cajon is about 40 miles east of San Diego. El Cajon, that is. Okay.
I think my mom, they said they call it El Cajun.
Cajon.
El Cajun, yeah.
Cajun.
Tom says that the 4-strand he says they're 4-strand, and I wrapped the ends. Purchased on Amazon for $25. That's Tom Luciano. He's watching.
Talk online. Talk about your lines, man.
That's what he said. He wraps them.
Yeah. He said, so, hey, Tom, can you come on live with us, or are you just going to watch from the tube tonight?
Put your sunglasses on. He's got an eye problem. He's got a little bit of an eye problem.
Yeah, put your cool on.
Yeah, you look cool.
Anybody that calls himself T-Bone Tom, well, I call him T-Bone Tom, T-Bone 1260, ought to have sunglasses on anyway.
That's true. He's a star.
Yeah. A week from tonight, next Friday, I shouldn't have my eye problem anymore. I'm hoping.
Can you hear us all right now, Dennis?
Thursday, I go in and have surgery on my left eye, so.
Good luck.
Frankie Embriaco just had cataract surgery on one eye. He's got to do the other eye next week. But he says already he can see better and more vivid colors and everything. He's pretty happy.
Dennis, have you got your system straightened out now?
I hope so. Can you hear me okay?
A little better.
Okay, good. I had to put my
I
earbuds
can't
on.
imagine, though, if I get that other eye fixed and it even sees more vivid colors, I wouldn't be able to look at Dennis.
Yeah.
That'd make your ears bleed.
Put your sunglasses on.
Yeah.
Where are they? Oh, my God.
Hey, Bob, I have a question for you with regards to electrics.
Yeah.
I know nothing about them other than I see a lot of them at the contest. Where does one begin if they want to get into electrics?
Well, you first have to kind of decide what size airplane you want to fly.
Somewhere between 46 to 60 size, anywhere between 56 to 64 ounces.
Yeah, you're going to need either a. And if you're going to run, you also have to decide if you want to go 4 cells or 5 cells or 6 cells. I would kind of probably now recommend. See, I flew 4 cells, but now there's a lot of advantages I see to the 5 cells and maybe even the 6 cells. And depending on what battery you're going to use, you got to choose a motor that has the proper KV rating. The higher the KV, the less cells, and the lower the KV rating, the more cells there. But when you go down in cells or go up in cells, you're going to go to a smaller battery, to smaller individual cells, but there's more of them. So, but the weight differential is almost negligible. So let's say you're going to fly a Saturn like you had. I would say something like a Power 25 with a size motor. It's a 28 millimeter can, 2826-10 motor. Cobra also has one that's a 2826-10. It's an equivalent motor.
I got that one. That's a nice motor.
A nice motor. Got a big bearings in it. Although Paul says he doesn't like them. He doesn't like the bearings, and I've never had a problem. But so be it. And if you're going to use the 2826-10, which is about a 970 kV motor, you're going to use a 4-cell, and you get away with a 3300 if your airplane's in the 50s. You get away with a 3300 milliamp 4S pack.
Okay.
Now, that's where
I'm trying to write this down, so bear with me.
Well, you know what you want to do is go on Stunthangar, go on the all amped up section, and look at the top. There's a thing called List Your Setup.
Okay.
And there's probably a couple of hundred different setups in there, and you're going to find a lot of duplication. Now, I've been out of it for 2 years, and when I'm coming back now, and Tom Luciano is going to become my teacher, he's using 5 and 6 cell batteries, and I'm going to have to get different motors, and we're going to that Igor active timer system, which requires you to use a jetty spin, electronic speed control, and a 5S or a 6S system, I understand. So
now I'm using the Igor, and they said that you can use like a 4-cell setup if you use the Igor system with a 5-cell, because they just use that 5-cell to boost, and it doesn't run,
Mm-hmm.
It gives the head space or something. That's why they jump up to
headroom
system with a 5 cell in it for the boost part of it.
Yeah, you got to have headroom at the end of the flight. You can't run it down past. You got to past 80% of the capacity of the battery. Otherwise, you don't have anything left at the end there. And again, I'm kind of coming back into it and changing everything. But I'm letting Tom Luciano and Dean Pappas and Igor, and I've actually had some calls in. I've had some good talks with Paul about it. So I'm learning too about the new stuff. I'm going to higher cell count, lower KV, and the active timer systems. So if you go on Stunthangar and go on that list your setup, you're going to find a whole bunch of different setups, and generally you'll find a whole lot of them that are very similar.
Now, are you going to try to design your own airplane? Or are you going to?
Yeah, I've got a brand new airplane, all designed and working on it.
I'm talking to.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Dennis.
I was hoping to use one of my existing designs. I want to try it on a profile first. And I have a profile that runs on a 46, OS 46. So I want to get something that's similar to that, so I can compare the two.
Well,
I'd say don't do that.
I would say don't do that either.
Okay.
No, because
and here's why. If Steve, if you want to go ahead, then I'll chime in.
Look, the reason why is that's what Samantha and I tried, and she hated electric until we got an airplane designed for electric.
Right.
And once it was designed for electric and in those moments and how everything went together, then she's seen how great it flew. But jamming in a motor, cocking the battery off, and all this to make it work, the airplane doesn't fly good.
Well, here's the thing. You got to look at it from the perspective of what a glow airplane is and where the weight is distributed versus where a glow airplane weight's distributed. What is the heaviest component in your glow airplane?
The engine.
The engine. That's one of the lightest components in an electric airplane.
Okay.
An equivalent to your 12 or 13 ounce with the header and coupler Stunt engine is going to be a 6 ounce electric motor. So it won't balance. You're going to have to either move the battery so far forward and probably even add nose weight. What you want to do is design an airplane that will balance with the battery on board and the lighter motor. So you're going to have to lengthen the nose. It's not a nose moment. It's a nose length. That's not a moment. It's a length. So if you look at Igor's airplane, and he's flying it with a 28 millimeter motor, about a 6 ounce motor. His nose length is 12 inches long, or 11 7/8 inches long in the max speed. So he doesn't have to add a lot of nose weight. But there's a lot more to it, I think, too. Over the years, we've moved the center line of the motor higher and higher in the airplane from the wing center line.
Okay.
And I believe the reason we were doing that is not because it flew better, but I really believe inline airplanes fly best. I've had a few of them and they fly great.
Yep.
But the problem is when you start to increase the diameter of the propeller, like a lot of us did for years there, up to like 14-inch propellers, if your motor is on the center line of the wing, you have to have landing gear that's like stilts, because you won't get ground clearance. So Paul, over the years, has always been a proponent of flying as small a propeller as you can get away with. I remember watching him in '92 at the World Championships in Czechoslovakia. He had that 63-inch span impact, and it flew better than anything there by a bunch. And he had it on an 11-inch wood prop. 11-inch prop on a 63-inch. And it flew great, and it got through turbulence better. So when I started rethinking all this, I'm going to extend the noses out. I'm going to put in an 11-inch prop. I'm going to go to a 5S system. All inline airplane, everything inline. A thinner wing. And here's another thing about electric versus glow. Why do some of these glow airplanes have such thick wings, like watermelons thick wings? Why do you think that is?
To help with the lift.
No, to help with the drag.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they wanted to slow. Two-cycle engines will tend to accelerate. You do one loop at one speed, the next loop's at a faster speed, and the third loop's
The winding up.
Yeah, and heavy winds. It's unloading as it's going, and it's picking up horsepower. So it's like a car going downhill in fourth gear, putting down the accelerator. It's going to accelerate and continue to pick up horsepower as you push down on the accelerator and just get faster and faster. Well, with electric now we have governors. We have this timer, this active timer, and you don't need all that drag anymore. That's one of the reasons I went to retracts. I didn't need to drag anymore, and so now you can make thinner wings, and that's what Paul has done, and Chris Cox and a number of people are going to thinner wings because they have the built-in governor to prevent the airplane from speeding up. You don't have to build these monster airplanes that are full of drag.
So on the wing thickness, what percentage of airfoil are you talking about? I'm used to
I don't really go by percentage. I'm more of a what's about right. My new airplane has got a wing that's at the root it's 2 inches, and at the tip it's 1 5/8 inches. Now you think about Billy Werwage's USA 1. That had a wing that was 1 7/8 inches at the root. 1 7/8 inches. That's how thin that wing was.
Yeah. Now, do you scratch build your own wings and all that kind of stuff, Dennis?
Yes.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say, otherwise, get one of Bob's new wings or whatever, and
No, he's a good builder.
Now, I tell you, it works out a lot better. Nobody knows that going through this whole process of building Samantha an airplane and all this kind of stuff, going with electric over what we're going to do. I talked to Bob a ton on the phone. He gives a lot of time and helping on all that kind of stuff. And Billy and Bob and Chris and everything came up with Samantha's airplane to try to keep it, as light as possible for her and being as big as she is and stuff. But it really does matter on something that's designed for electric. I swear it ain't worth cobbling. It ain't worth your time, and the way your airplanes look so nice, you put in the finish and all that. I wouldn't
beautiful airplane
with something else, But
and that Saturn you have, that's a good wing. That's not that thick a wing.
Well, you mean the Gladiator?
Oh yeah, it's Gladiator. I keep thinking it's a Saturn.
That has a pretty that has a pretty thick wing.
Oh, that Gladiator doesn't have all that thick a wing, does it?
It's about 2 3/8 inches thick at the root.
Wow, that's this thick. Yeah, I'm going down to thinner. 2 inches or under 2 inches at the root now.
Yeah, I still haven't did the USA wing yet, but that was from me and you talking back a year and a half ago or so. On
yes, that's the wing I'm using. I'm using that root airfoil.
Yeah.
I made a new tip airfoil because I swept the trailing edge forward. I like to cut forward trailing edges. So I use the root airfoil right off the USA, and the tip airfoil is a derivative of it. I like the way that airplane flew.
So that's another thing.
There it is right there.
Yep, there it is. So, and then you could, and basically it's going to be an inline USA is what I had planned, and I know that's what you're doing now, where everything's going to be inline. But you can get plans for the USA from Pampa.
Yeah, I published it in Pampa.
And you could, ask Bob for the nose length or whatever, and make a profile out of that, build the wing like that and everything else.
Why would you want to do a profile? Why not just go right to a full-bodied airplane? They just fly better. They don't twist as much. I go to a full-bodied airplane. You're a good builder and obviously a good flyer.
They built close to as fast. One thing I have found out, though, with profile electrics, they don't shake the tail like a glow does.
Yeah, but the air loads do.
Yeah, the air loads do, but I mean, a lot of times you watch these airplanes go around, these tails are doing with the
fluttering.
Some people contend that the shaking of a glow motor affects the boundary layer and that's why some people say electric airplanes hunt more than blow airplanes. And I've never experienced that. I had one airplane, but we found out what it was and got rid of it. But some people say the shaking of the glow motor affects the boundary layer and makes the airplanes groove better. You know?
Would that be a similar effect as having turbulators?
Yeah, probably.
You know, that might be true though. By shaking that, it'd be harder for the air to stick to it.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I don't have enough aerodynamic knowledge. Again, I do everything that looks about right. You know, I try more than anything.
But I'm surprised that some, you know, it'd be finish points. Why somebody hasn't come up with a rough wing.
Yeah.
Really rough, like snakes. I mean, snake skin, shark skin.
Yeah. Well,
I was watching that thing on sailboats there, and some offshore racers, and they said that the new finish on the side of the boats will scratch you. It's like shark skin, and it takes away all that water from sucking to the side of the boat. Same thing you have with an airplane. With
there
that,
may be something to that. There may be something to that.
Well, my brother said in speed they're finding out guys are sanding their solid lines.
Well,
they rough them up so the air don't stick to them as it goes through the air. You know, that was kind of a secret. That was kind of a secret thing.
And if there's an air gap in lots of a trillion of little places along the surface, then that's got less resistance than water does for a boat.
It doesn't make with a hydro layer or something like that, like a suction cup. You know, you can't stick a suction cup to something that isn't polished.
Yeah.
Right? It won't, the air won't hold to it. And that's, you know, what they were saying about.
Are you saying, are you trying to say our airplanes suck?
No, I just can't believe that somebody hasn't tried, like, even with monocoat, sand the monocoat up so it's rough.
I think what those guys have been doing with those vortex generators, you know, they seem to think the people who put them on don't take them back off again. They seem to increase the performance of the airplane. I think
that's what I was thinking of. Is a turbulator and a vortex generator the same thing?
No, I don't think so. A turbulator strip goes span-wise on the leading edge. Like the old pre-flight models, they had those little, you know, those little turbulators.
Yeah. I was thinking of vortex generators when I asked that question a few minutes ago.
I know that Howard, you know, makes some. He actually makes them on a 3D printer. And everybody who's put them on their airplane, you don't see them taking them off. So
right.
I'm going to try them. Hey, listen, now I'm coming back doing a little bit of flying. I'm going to try everything new. You know, I'm going to become a student.
Oh, Steve McBride just came in. Hey, Steve.
Hi, Steve.
Hey, Rusty. Hey, guys.
But yeah, I'll tell you, Dennis, do an electric right from the bat. If you're wondering about electric and you don't want to put the time in, get a Vector 40 from Rodak. Put it together and fly it and see what you think. If you ever flown another Vector or any of the, you know, Samantha, what was it? The Tempest 40. She had all of them.
Well, he's a good designer and builder. He's got a couple of airplanes that are really good looking airplanes.
If you just wanted to try electric, to say try electric.
I think he should. Well, my recommendation is to build one like we were talking about, something with a longer nose and inline.
But I would suggest not to hack one. If you do that, you're never going to get a good idea how electric does fly.
One thing you want to do is make provisions to allow the battery to be adjusted up and down.
Yeah, exactly. Yep.
Yeah, so you get the vertical CG right. That's one of the big advantages of electric, is being able to get the vertical CG exactly where it belongs. It's really, we were talking about it last week, I think, about how it's interesting that 99.99999% of the stunt models, full built up airplanes that come out to the field, when they fly, they take off. If they have a quote-unquote warp, it's always that the outboard wing is high upright and down inverted. It's never the other way around.
Right.
And everybody does a little flap tweak to kind of fix that. And yeah, it brings the wing down, but the airplane never quite feels right. And what it is, it's the vertical CG being too low. The head of the motor sticking down, the landing gear's down there, the coupler, the header, the pipe, all below the vertical CG. And the airplane is tethered at the lines. And when you're going around in a circle, you have centrifugal, or is it centripetal force, and the weight is being thrown outward. And if the majority of that weight is below the vertical center of gravity and it's attached to the lines, it can't do anything except push the outboard wing up. You know, it pushes the outboard wing up upright, and it's down inverted. And if you just move the battery up, take out the flap tweak, it flies great. We've done that on several airplanes, and it works great.
You can test for that when you're bench trimming by hanging it from the lines and looking at
to a degree, but flying the airplane, yeah,
and seeing if it's plumb compared with a post or door jamb in the background. And a lot of times the plane will be hanging, you know, with that wing cocked out.
Even if it looks like it's dead vertical, sometimes they're not perfect.
It sounds like there's a need to make lead outs adjust vertically now.
Yeah, if you move the lead outs down, you get the same effect. You know, you get the lead outs on the vertical center of gravity. But the nice thing about the electric is you can leave the lead outs where they are and move the battery up.
Battery up and down.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You can't do that in glow, because if you move the fuel load, it's going to change the way the engine runs, and it's going to burn off anyway. So.
Right.
Glow, you can only tweak the flap.
Yeah, but you don't want to do that if you're putting a Band-Aid on the wrong wound. If it's not a warp or something, you don't want to tweak the flap to get the wings level if it's a vertical CG issue. The airplane will never fly right. It'll always be weird.
You're not going to keep adding more tip weight to it, because you add more tip weight to it and bring the wing down.
That's still not the problem.
That's on another plane of.
That's another plane. Yeah.
And
you don't want to. You want to get the vertical CG where it belongs. Period.
Right.
And that's one of the biggest advantages of electric, is being able to do that.
So on Bob, on props, when you talk about using, let's say, 11-inch props, what the pitch on the prop? What is it? A high pitch prop then? I'm
going to use those new. I wish Tom Luciano would chime in here, because he's been doing all this. Those Igor props, those hollow, flat back 11-inch Igor props. They're 3 blades. I flew one on Tom's airplane. He happened to have a 12, and it was the best performing prop I've ever experienced on an airplane.
So are they still running anywhere between like 5 to 6-inch pitch?
Yeah, I think they're 11.5s.
11.5s.
Yeah, I think that's what they are. If Tom would chime in here, it would help. You got to remember, Dennis, I've been kind of retired for 2 years.
What's the difference in benefit between the 3-bladed prop and the 2-bladed prop? What do you get more?
Line tension generally. I've always found 3-bladed props to give me more line tension, but but in the past they tend to kill some turn too, because they're weighty. These new Igor props are hollow. They weigh nothing. They're feather light, and they're very, very rigid too. And boy, they work great.
Well, even on a glow engine, when they're using a 3-bladed prop as opposed to 2-blade.
Well, again, you're going to get more line tension. It tends to stake it against the hemisphere better, but it will kill some turn because you have more weight, an extra blade.
I find it loads the engine up more.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, that's why the only thing I find is you're losing a little bit power consumption on that, only because
you have too much prop. You're over prop. It's like over gearing a car, so you reduce the diameter a little bit.
This is that plane that Samantha and I are working on, but kind of, I don't know if they can see.
Side mount, look at that.
But when you put the battery in, because of what Bob said, this is designed so I can move this thing way up or drop it down. Mm-hmm. So this thing can be adjusted for the vertical CG. And it's a side because that made it easier for me to adjust it like that over a top or a bottom. But the way Samantha's other airplane is, we had, with the rails running in there, we had no vertical CG. We could move it forward and back, but we could, because of how it locked in with the little arms that come around like Paul Walker does, there was no way we could adjust it up and down.
I use a little plywood rib, a light plywood rib that I coat with carbon fiber to stiffen it up. It's only light ply, and it's a rib that goes around the battery. It's got a little tab in the back that goes into the F2, a slot in F2, and in the front it bolts down to a little pull down. And by making different ribs and the relation of the opening for the battery to the tab where it locks in, you can make adjustments up and down. You can move the battery up, you know.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I make 5 or 6 different ribs until you find the one that works perfectly, and then you just duplicate it and make a bunch of them, you know.
Yeah, yeah. There's different ways. This front end is the one that Dennis had a mission burn for me there. Had Brodak burn it for me because I wanted. That's 11 7/8 inches. It's like Igor's front end. Everyone moving it out. Because that's a Staris is what it started out to be. And then doing the modify, you know, to make it for electric, from what you told me, you know, nose length, whatever. So it may fly good, it may not. But, you know, that's one of Bob's tales that he made super light because I've been finding out that things are always tail heavy. That with electric, they always come out tail heavy and you end up adding a bunch of nose weight. So, Bob built
now if you extend the nose out, put the motor out further on the fulcrum, it's got to help a lot. And you can also move the battery. Then you have more room to move the battery.
Yeah, you move the battery.
So, how much are we talking on the nose? Just a rough figure of 1.5 inches.
What's that?
On the nose, making the length of the nose. Are you
well, like I said,
1.5 inches?
I made my new one. I wasn't quite ready to go out to 12 inches like Igor's because I have to put a red flag on the spinner. But I went out to 11 5/8.
Top Brent comments on YouTube that the long 12-inch nose on Igor's plane also serves to have an effect on minimizing the angle of attack of the propeller in maneuvers.
Yeah.
Well, that one's 11 7/8. So I didn't go out as far as Igor either, but I went out further. But basically how it worked out is that if you take a SV11's front end and stick on that Staris, it works out. I measured it all out, and Dennis burned it because he had part of the files already done for the Chinese kits. But they're done a little bit different and everything. So then he burnt that for me, and it worked out real nice.
Yeah.
But I wish I would have had him do it inline. But that was when I ordered it, that was before I talked with Bob and everything on the inline part of it and how I'm going to do the USAM and stuff like that.
Paul's new airplanes, you know, P-47, both of them are inline as far as I know, and the Chris's Hellcat's also inline. And they have very thin wings, comparatively speaking, to what they used to fly.
Well, basically, your twins are inline, right?
Yeah, the twins are all inline.
Yeah. And I really, you know, like how that airplane flew.
So did I. The only thing I didn't like about the whole setup was the fact that the retracts we're using, and we mentioned this a couple of weeks ago, the retracts we were using, those E-flights, are a sport product.
Yeah.
It's not a competition product. And I don't think over a long period of time they're going to hold up. I think we're going to get some problems with, I've seen actually motors burn out, and I've seen gear not come down in radio control applications. And if you're flying stunt, you're practicing a lot, or should be. And if the gear doesn't come down even one time, you're going to scratch up an airplane. Like I said, everybody said, "Oh man, I love to see the gear go up." I said, "Yeah, well, I love to see it come down." So I probably won't go back to retracts. I am going to build another twin, however, and here's one of the reasons. And this would really work out well for electric, especially with what we're talking about, vertical CGs and everything. We put even an inline airplane, single engine airplane, is going to need, say, an 11-inch prop or maybe even a 12-inch prop. That's still a significant amount of ground clearance you got to get. But if you go to a twin, you can run 2 9-inch props or even 8-inch props. And then you can shorten the gear even more. And you're still going to get all that prop disc and that prop disc span, which is what I think is the most important thing, to get all that artificial air blast over the wing and the tail. And of course, it's counter-rotating, so you don't get all the attendant P factor and all that other stuff. It kind of cancels out. It's like jet flight almost. So you can make very short landing gear with a twin. That's one of the reasons I want to do a twin, but it's going to be a fixed gear twin.
I think you were talking the other gathering that you had with the retracts. When they were retracted, it would have a tendency to wind up in the loops when the gear was up, or it did something where it sped up because of the retracts.
No,
yeah,
I don't think it's sped up at all.
No, that was back when you were in glow and doing your retracts.
Oh yeah, when we tried the retract thing. Yeah, when we tried the retract thing, I didn't have retracts in the airplane time. I just put the landing gear out to simulate what the retracts would fly like. And when I got into wind, yeah, it accelerated like a son of a gun because I had a glow engine, and it was unloading. And as soon as it started to unload, it gained horsepower and just sped up, and did that one loop at one speed, next loop faster, and the third one ballistic. But now with the electric twin, no, it didn't accelerate at all in the wind.
Oh.
T-Bone's in bed. That's why he's not in here with us.
T-Bone's in bed?
T-Bone Tom is in bed.
Well, that's not good.
Like an old man. He's younger than all of us.
He's younger than all of us, yeah.
Yeah, the other thing is, Dennis,
Steven's the kid of the group now.
If you look at Bob, show that USA Ama one more time. So basically, what I'm thinking is everything's you can put the elevator and everything in line, but with the rudders on the outside of the elevator, you can make them bigger or smaller.
Mm-hmm.
Very, very easy to test how much rudder and stuff you need, along with if you make your flaps and all this being able to be taken off and putting on.
Yeah.
It makes it really adjustable for trying different things.
Mm-hmm. I'll tell you, the twin rudder airplane really impressed me. I flew Gene's stunt machine years ago. I used to fly it a lot, and it impressed me with how much tension it had, and the vertical tension was amazing. And then when I flew this USA Ama, I felt the same thing. It had great tension everywhere, but also it had tremendous elevator authority. It wasn't sensitive. It just had a lot of power in the tail to get around corners. It wasn't sensitive at all, but it was very, very good turning airplane. And I believe that's because the twin rudders trapped the air on. And I know the Gieske and Doug Moon and all those guys that are using those little tip plates felt the same way.
Well, yeah, if you look at a Boeing sitting in the new 747s, they got the wing tips that come up.
Yeah,
they bring them up.
Yeah.
But since they don't fly inverted, they don't have them on the bottom. But if you flew inverted, you'd want them both directions.
Well, I'm not sure. I don't know how it works on the wing. I know on the tail, I'm just talking about trapping the air on the tail to prevent it from spilling off the elevators. So,
yeah.
But I felt that there was a definite difference in the twin. And flying Frankie Imbriaco's new twin, the turning point that I designed for him, he has twin rudders on that, and that thing's got tremendous tension everywhere and a tremendous amount of elevator authority. So if I go to a twin, it'll probably be that turning point with fixed gear, something like that. I got a picture of it here.
Even with this one, we're putting a sub rudder on this because, it's not true P factor, but you have the vortex coming off your prop, and with more of the air hitting on top of the model than underneath, it'll tend to want to roll the model.
Yeah, we have spiral airflow. A single engine airplane's got spiral airflow. The air is going up on the bottom of the inside wing and down on the top of the outside wing, around the fuselage, up on the bottom of the inside stabilizer, down on the top of the out one. But moreover, it's hitting the side of the vertical fin on the left side.
Right.
And what that does is it pushes the airplane. If you think about it, the airplane's center of gravity is very far forward from where the fin is. So it's like a weather vane. And the air blast will push the airplane, the tail outward and the nose inward on a standard rotation propeller. And but moreover, since most of the area on the vertical fin is above the vertical center of gravity, you're getting a left yaw and a right roll.
Right.
You know?
And that's why I thought that Usama, if everything was perfectly symmetrical with those smaller rudders on the tips, you could adjust that, get whatever you wanted, and at least it would be an equal amount.
Right. And then where the twin thing with the counter-rotating props and not going around the fuselage, I think is a huge advantage. But also, if you know, if you're not using a twin, that's another advantage of the smaller diameter prop. You're not getting as much of that effect off a smaller diameter prop as you are a large one. Did I show you that that Caprice that the guy up in Canada built?
Oh yeah, yeah.
That's so Caprice ever, yeah.
Yeah, that's you did kind of like a ghost image in there. That's really, it must be like a candy over it.
He did a beautiful job.
It's like he painted it. He put the different colors and then put candy red over top of it.
It's really beautiful.
Is that electric?
No, that's glow.
No. Oh, okay. That looked like it had a pretty long nose on it.
Well, it did. It had a 9 3/8 inch nose, and that's what we designed it for back then. Got to remember, when that was designed in 1967, we were flying Fox 35s, which were 6.5 ounces or 6 ounces something. They were with wooden props, which were very light. Back then, we only had to do 1 lap between maneuvers. That was before the rule change for 2 laps. So you put a smaller tank in. We didn't have any mufflers, right? So everything was lighter. So you needed a longer, pretty much like what we're just talking about here with electric. You got to extend the nose out on those old airplanes to balance them properly. Now with the carbon fiber props and the heavier motors and mufflers and a more fuel load, it's actually a detriment. But the airplane still flies well. If I were going to design it today for glow, I would design it with a shorter nose. But since you got to maintain fidelity, I left the nose long, you know.
Yeah. Well, a lot of it is too is that they got to make the nose longer to take the tank.
Well, you can put the tank back into the wing. You know, you can cut the wing out and put the tank back, and we've always done that. Try to get the tank back as far as possible, you know.
Yeah.
A lot of Billy's airplanes, people don't realize this. Werwage's airplanes, he cut all the way back to the spar and put the tank sometimes all the way back to the front of the spar and put the bell crank in the aft 2/3 of the wing and ran the lead outs forward. The bell crank was actually in the back 2/3 of the wing. So there was no bell crank going through the spar in some of his airplanes. So we could get the tank back further.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of things people did that they never fessed up to, you know.
Yeah.
Well, I appreciate the information. One of the things I'm not too sure about is on the construction side of things for the nose. You know, I know you don't need maple motor mounts, but that's about it. Yeah.
Well, you know, again, the only thing you got to be careful of is in these Igor systems tend to have a not as much of a soft start. What I mean by soft start is the motor spools up slowly to full speed, so there's no shock of torque. Because if you turn these things on without a soft start, it would probably rip the nose off the airplane. There's so much torque. Right. And I understand the Igor system, and I thought Tom's airplane has a little less of a soft start to it, but still not so much that it's going to rip the nose off.
Yeah, it's hard though. When that thing comes on, you better be holding on.
Yeah. I would. One thing I would do, Dennis, is I would probably get in touch with Paul Walker and ask him, because he's probably the authority right now on the Igor system and on electrics and on design. I would defer to him any questions, because I've been out of it for a while. What I'm doing now is just throwing some mud against the wall, hoping it's all going to stick. You know.
Howard Rush also have a log. He has a big log, and he can help you and tell you.
Yeah, Howard Rush is a good guy.
He's got getting with that as well.
Chris Cox is another one.
But you're right about it. Paul Walker has it there, and Howard Rush actually follows up with him. But he's got a big logbook on it and tells you also how to set up that system.
Yep.
Basically, pretty complicated, pretty difficult to work with.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, though, even if you went with the Brodak system or probably RSM system, whatever, you'll really be surprised how well that works. It may not be the top-notch system, but just how well a human system works.
Yeah, that FM9 is a good starting place, actually. It's easy to understand. It's easy to program.
Yeah.
It's not expensive. You get the Will Huben FM9 and
the program box, or
and get a Castle Creations ESC. I guess what are they now? They're 75 watt ESCs. We were using a Phoenix 45 watt ESC, and they ran great. I still have one from 2005 that still works perfectly, and it's got hundreds of flights on it. But they stopped making that one.
That's what I got. I got the Castle 75. Yes.
You get the 75. That's a little heavier. That's the only thing I don't like about it.
Not really.
It's heavier than the 45.
But I know that
No,
that new one that Brodak has. Well, I got one of. I can't think of what he calls it, but that has the programming of how everybody programmed the Castle.
Okay.
And it is very inexpensive, and to try, it works really well. I mean,
that's what I like about the Castle is it's got a fast governor, and I know that the Jetty Spin has a fast governor too, maybe even faster. But a lot of the domestic ESCs don't have as fast a governor, so that's something I would look for.
I don't know. At some of the contests, I've been watching some of the electrics fly, and I've noticed quite a few of them when it starts getting pretty windy, they back out. And,
they do what?
They back out. They'll pass on their flight or whatever because it's just a little bit too much.
I've always found the electric system to be better in the wind, far better in the wind.
If you have a Hubron timer or whatever, we were at Billy's contest there in Canton, or actually it was right by Canton.
Mm-hmm.
It was so windy that around the circles they had, I call them like a bike. It kind of looked like a bicycle rack. They had slots in them with a bar that came like this and a couple legs. And the airport sent them all up around the circle.
Oh, was that at the Akron contest?
Akron, yeah, that's by Canton, yeah, Akron.
Yeah.
It was so windy, the wind was blowing them over. And we took Samantha's airplane. I programmed in an extra 400 RPM, and she went out there and flew in like 20-mile-an-hour wind. And I think only one other guy flew. And she did get blown out of her clover, but today I don't think she would have.
Well, it's like anything else, it depends on how you set them up and how confident you are in the wind anyway. I mean, I think that it's not a panacea, it's not a cure-all for everything. But the good systems have no problems in the wind whatsoever.
No, it'll burn. It's just like flying glow. What do you do if it's really windy? You get a little
crank it up.
Crank it up.
Get a little more RPM out of it.
Yeah.
Bias the wind and stuff like that. But yeah, we turned hers up 400. I said, well, we may burn up the battery, but I think it'll make it through the flight. We didn't burn up the battery, but yeah, it powered through that wind like nothing. It's just whatever's turning that propeller. If you got enough horsepower to turn it.
I found that they fly better in the wind than the glow airplanes did, in my opinion.
When I got started into this, I was always using this cookbook. It's by Norm Whittle, yeah.
That goes back a ways. That's not really up to date, but that's okay.
That probably does go back, but that's the only reference guide I have when I was setting my ESC.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I'm trying to get used to learning with it.
You know, I'm sorry Norm quit. He was a really good guy.
But yeah, you could, you know, I mean, even Jose, he can tell you how to set one up. You know,
I flew one of the sharks that he was setting up for Orestes, and I flew that a couple of years back with electric system in it. It was amazing airplane, very good airplane.
Yeah, Orestes, yeah, you can talk to him. You know, both of them guys work together, and they use 5-cell over the 6. You know, we use 6. The one thing I did find out about 6-cell is charge so much faster than a 4-cell.
What battery are you using though?
I used
2700 6-cell.
Yeah, 2700 6-cell, and I used the Thunder Power just for the weight, so it balanced out better.
Yeah, they're located about 15 minutes away from me. Thunder Power.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they're right
I've
out
never
here.
had any luck with their batteries. I have nothing but bad luck with Thunder Powers. I went to Hyperions and never had a problem.
You know, I did with the Hubron timer and how we did it. I had a problem with Thunder Power, but now with the Igor system of it hitting with the throttle backing off and how they do it, we haven't had one bat, and I mean we got a lot of flights on these batteries and not a problem. So
when you say you have problems with the batteries, what type of problems are you talking about?
they puff off.
Lasting as long for me.
The what?
It wouldn't last as long for me.
Yeah, they start to get puffy.
The Hyperions were lasted forever. I just never had a problem with the Hyperion.
They get heat up and puff up on you.
So yeah, but I think too, you want a decent charger.
Yeah, and a good para board too. That apparently that ProLab para board, the one you can get from Solpro, they're having some problems with those. And Will Demaro was telling me at contest last weekend. He said, if you're coming back to this, he says, get ready your Solpro para board, and get a. I forgot what he told me the other one was. But he's gonna. I'll get the information to get back here with it. There's a better para board. Para board is something that allows you to, Dennis, it allows you to charge up to 6 different batteries at one time.
Right.
And these new batteries, you know, have a C rating. If you're going to charge, 1C would be, let's say you have a 4,000 milliamp pack. 1C would be 4 amps. 2C would be 8 amps. 3C would be 12 amps, and so forth. And these new batteries will accept charge safely up to 6C, they say. I don't do that much. I do 3C. So I can charge a 4 amp battery at 12 amps. And you can charge 6 of them if you have a big enough power supply. And I got a 72 amp power supply, so I can either charge or weld.
Yeah, it's a big power supply.
Yeah, and I can charge 6 batteries at one time in 15 minutes.
So the para board is a device that allows you to charge the multiple batteries.
Right.
What do you use for a charger then?
The Solpro charger. That's the
Solpro.
That's the Cadillac. Yeah.
Is that the Lab A?
FMA. Yeah. Solpro.
But no, I don't like them boards. I had more problems with my batteries when I used one of them parallel boards. Once I started using.
Depends on which one you use, Steve. Apparently, tomorrow said there's one that works perfectly every time. Now, I never had any trouble with the Solpro para board, but he told me to get rid of it and go to this other one.
Well, I got on. It was helicopters or something like that, where they're really into that, you know, that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And they said they found out that if you're using them boards and you have a battery with 1 cell and that's out of the 6, say that is a little bit bad, it screws up the charging on the other ones because it's thinking that there's only 1 cell there. It doesn't know there's 6 cells in parallel or whatever.
It slows the process of the charging down on it.
And it can throw that off and overcharge good cells because the one bad cell isn't taking a charge. And they're all.
I'll ask Will about that because he's really savvy on this stuff. Very savvy.
There doesn't seem to me to be any reason that you couldn't design that circuitry to monitor each individual cell and compensate and know that one was different from the rest of them. And
I'm sure some of them have that. According to Will, there's one out there that's safe and it won't have a problem. But he acknowledges that some of them are not getting good.
I would guess that that's how they're designed.
So I'll ask him and I'll ask Dean Pappas, who's an electrical engineer, electronic engineer, about that, and he will have an answer, and I'll get back to everybody with that.
You talking about Will DeMaro?
What's that?
You talking about Will DeMaro?
Will DeMaro, yeah.
Yeah, he's got that stuff down pat.
He does. He really does. He's a good guy. He's willing to share information, and he's helpful to a fault. He really is.
Let me ask you a question to help my vocabulary. When I hear kV as an old electronics guy, I think kilovolts, but obviously when we're talking about modeling engines, kV does not stand for kilovolts. What does it?
I don't know. That's a good question. Maybe somebody else here does.
Yeah, it stands. Oh shit.
That would be
OF. I can't think of it now. What the kV of the motor is?
Well, if anybody finds out, let me know.
It's the RPM the motor will turn at a certain voltage.
Right.
Is basically how it works out. But
RPMs per volt? Nah, that doesn't make sense because it's pulse width modulated, I'm sure.
Well, I'll ask that question too of Dean or Will.
Hold on, I can find out.
I suppose I could have Googled it too, but I like to hear people tell me instead of having to Google everything.
Well, if I don't know something, I'll tell you I don't know it.
Yeah, that's the best policy.
Yeah. Well, with these electrics, there's a lot I don't know.
Yeah. And it's like anything else. Once you find something, when you get a system that's working, you don't have to know everything about it. You just have to know what works in your airplane and be able to duplicate that every time.
Yeah.
And that's where I am with it. There's some people out there that have to know technically everything about their airplanes and their motors and everything. They have to know all that stuff. And that's fine if they want to do that. I need to know enough to get the airplane flying correctly and then go practice and,
Yeah, we've got a club member that likes to get into detail and overcomplicates everything to a point that it's detrimental to his performance. He spends more time swapping things and tuning things than he does actually
trying to understand everything rather than going and flying.
He'll go fly a couple of flat laps and do a loop and come down and say, no, I don't like that, and go change something big, and I can't get in.
What it says, kV is the RPM constant of a motor. It's the number of revolutions per minute that a motor will turn with 1 volt applied with no load attached.
Oh, well, that was my offhand guess, wasn't it? Okay. RPMs per volt, sort of. Okay. I'll read up more on that and get some exact information, but all right, good. Thanks, Steve.
That says it does not mean kilovolts.
No.
Yeah.
I knew it didn't mean kilovolt.
It means RPM volt. And why did they put the K on it? So you don't have to type out as many letters or something. I don't know.
Well, it might be in thousands of RPMs per volt or something like that. So I don't know. Okay, I'll take that and run, see what I can learn about it.
Yeah, because if you take 1,000 kV motor and you put 14 volts to it, or it's just times the voltage, and you can tell what the RPM on that, what it'll be. And then you can't put too much or it'll burn the motor out.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, you got to match the cell count to the, and of course the total voltage to the winds in the motor. You can't put a 6-cell battery on a 970 kV motor. It'll burn it up.
Well, I guess Well, if you get onto Cobra's deal, they'll show a motor and all the voltages, what size prop you can put on.
Yeah, but all that stuff,
battery.
All that stuff is predicated on radio control usage. So ours is a little different. We have lines attached to our airplane, and there's a lot of drag on lines that they don't have.
Right.
So all those curves for radio are a little different for control line.
But it gives you, like, say if you use an 8.8 prop, what the amperage is, draw on it and stuff like that. And you got to really, if you start going with a bigger battery, you got to make that prop really small. Make it smaller and less pitch, so it'll spin up the RPM more. Otherwise, you burn the thing up with,
There's a lot to it.
I'm gonna step away for just a second. Y'all gonna burn the house down all
here pretty quick.
Yeah, it's getting late. It's getting late fast.
My dog got me up early.
How did you do that calculation?
What was that?
How did you say you do that calculation? You multiply
It's the RPM per 1 volt. So, like, if you have a 960, for every volt, it's 960 RPMs.
Okay.
So if you take 14 volts times 960, that'll give you your RPM.
I got a good question for Bob on the twins.
Yes, sir.
Okay, say you got two 1,000 kV motors.
Okay.
Running 2 ESCs.
Yep.
If you have one ESC set with LiPo cutoff and the other one without LiPo, and has also LiPo cutoff, would they conflict each other?
I don't know. I never did that, so I don't know.
And also, if you have 1,000 kV, 2,000 kV motors, can you run them in parallel on the one ESC?
No, I don't know why, but Dean Pop has told me, again, he's an electronic engineer,
Yeah.
that you have to use separate ESCs.
Okay, because we could, well, my RC crawling stuff, we can run dual motors on a single ESC, but we're not screaming RPMs like that either.
Well, it has to do with
two.
resistance and stuff like that, because it's just like anything else is, like air will tend to flow through the easiest, an 8-inch duct or a 6-inch duct. If you had two side by side, it'll flow more through the big duct. There's less resistance there. You get a motor that starts to get older, and if you used one ESC, it would feed more to the one with less resistance.
Yeah, okay, I see that. Yeah.
Also,
to Phoenix
going bad and all that kind of stuff.
If you got 1,000 kVs, actually they're 1150s.
What are you talking about? Power 10s?
Whatever those little ones are from Eric. Hold on, I got the number right here.
You're running that motor at over 13,000 RPM?
36, actually 3542, 1150.
Yeah, I'm not familiar with those. I was using Power 10s.
Well, let's just say two motors. All right.
Yeah, they're nominally 1,000 kV.
Okay, and you can't put anything over 3 cell on these. Okay.
I was on a 4-cell.
Well, that'd be the 14. I'm sorry, the 14. The 14. Eric's telling me I can't run 4-cell on the 14 kV, 1400 kV motor.
Well, the higher the kV number, the less cell count you're going to need for sure.
Well,
Yeah, exactly.
So basically, then what did you say that? I can't get this submission to delete now. I think my calculator right now is the delete button.
Cool.
Hey, Kevin.
So what did you say? There were 14 what?
Hold on. Look at the picture here.
What was the kV of the motors? 14?
1400 kV.
1400 kV.
Two 1400 kV.
Yeah, that's a 3-cell motor for sure.
Yeah. Because if you took and then put a 14, was it 14.7?
Yeah.
That's 20,580 RPM.
Yeah, okay.
And that's why you can't you can't do that. You got to drop it down.
So my buddy needs to change these motors to something more efficient. Basically, is what it comes down to. It. He's got
No, not more efficient. You know, that motor, you know, with 11 volt battery, it turned 15,000 RPM. You could probably go to a 2-cell on that. You know, you're not going to run that kind of RPM on the propeller for a control line.
He's running twin motors.
Right. And now, is this RC or is this
control line?
Yeah, I mean, if you're running, why would you want to run? You'd have to run like a 2-pitch prop if you're going to run up to, you know, 14,000 RPM on it.
I would change your motors down to something closer to 1,000 or 970.
Right.
The problem is he's got these 6,500 3-cells, and they're like this giant brick. You know?
6,500. Wow.
Yeah, they're huge, and it will not go 5 minutes.
Wow.
So I'm trying to figure out what we can do to get them to go. Probably go into.
Well, to give you an idea, well, it depends on the size airplane, too. On a nominally 650 square inch airplane, it was in the high 60s. I was running 2 Power 10s on one 4S4000. And that also operated the retracts.
That's kind of the same setup as what Dave's Sabon's got on his, right?
Yeah, Dave actually asked me what I was using.
Yeah, his works fine. That works great.
Yeah.
Right. So you use less battery if you went to a different drop the KD.
Yeah.
And went to a 4-cell, a 4-cell pack. Then you could drop a couple thousand out of your milliamp. I really don't understand how that works. How more cells use less power. But it does.
Yeah, it does.
It doesn't.
Well, it's less milliamps and more voltage.
Right. But it seems like, I know volts times amps equals watts.
Ohm's law.
But to me, if your airplane takes 600 watts to fly, and you take it out of a 4-cell, or you take it out of a 6-cell, and you take the same many watts out of that battery, when you charge it, it seems like it'd take you just as long to charge that power back in there, but it doesn't. 6-cells charge so much faster than a 4. You don't put in near the milliamps back into it to get the same wattage out of it.
We have more voltage.
Yeah, because of the more voltage, you don't, but maybe it's heat loss or whatever it is that causes that.
I've decided to give up on electric and just go to 2 chipmunk on a turntable.
Well, I've decided I need to read up on this stuff so I'm not sitting here quietly while y'all talk about all, because I'm an old electronics guy, but hell, I played with tube stuff when I was young, so been a long time.
And the other day when everyone was talking about combat.
See, you got me confused with that, Steve, because I run a 770 kV motor with a 6-cell. That would say it's turning 16,940 RPM, and it's not turning that bad.
No, what size kV motor are you running?
770.
70 kV?
No, 770.
Oh, 770.
770.
What are you running? Running a 5-cell or a 6-cell on that?
6-cell.
6-cell.
That's what.
So 770 times 6, but that's with no propeller on it.
Just a brief aside here. Where else can you be watching something on YouTube and see somebody walk into a room and put an airplane on a bed and walk out?
What the hell? I'm sure on YouTube people put a lot stranger stuff on the head.
And like nobody even made a comment. This is perfectly normal.
Yeah, this is really normal. He's on his computer. That's my father. He's on his computer watching it on the YouTube instead of getting in the chat with me.
Oh, okay.
Talking about this.
Hi, Ruben.
Originally, that's
So he likes to be kind of around you, but not really around you.
Yeah, I guess so, huh? It's not actually embarrassment on it.
A legacy.
This is a 40, wrote that 40 Legacy. I converted that and made that electric. And that was one of the things we put together. I wanted to make an electric airplane, and we put together at the shop and changed some of the characteristics around to it, but made it electric. But when I was talking with you last time, Bob, I mentioned to you I didn't know much about the electric, what to use. Mm-hmm. Paul Walker was the one who steered me into telling me what was good to work with. And he said, get yourself a Castle EST with an E-Flight 32. So I got an E-Flight 32 in it. I swing a 12-inch prop and 6-cell battery. I tried 4 cells. I ran out of luck when they did burn them out. 5 cells gets it through. Just I started to lose power when I got towards the 4-leaf.
Too big of a
6-cell.
Well, Paul is very knowledgeable, extremely knowledgeable. I would listen to him. Matter of fact, I've had several phone conversations with him over the last couple of months, getting back into this and trying to catch up to speed. And I'm going to just become a student, and learn like everybody else.
I put this together when I set it up and stuff, and I actually went from the 5-cell and I went to the 6-cell. Then I got the performance I wanted out of it. Helped it actually bounce the CG better, and also I was able to adjust the battery better. But in the same sense, the plane now it flies. Now it actually flies a lot better. And I was
all a plane. It's like a 920.
It's got the Huben FM9 timer in it.
Yeah, that's a good system. I ran that Huben thing all through my entire electric career, and now that I'm getting back into it, I'm going to jump over to the Igor system. I might even try the Ferretti system. But if I were to recommend something to somebody starting out, it would be the Huben system. It's easy to understand. It's easy to program.
The timer is easy to set itself.
Yeah, with that KV motor, you're going to have to run 6-cell.
What's that?
I said, with that KV of the motor, you're going to have to run 6-cell.
You have to run 6 cells. That's what I have in it now. I'm running this now with the E-Flight 32 when I'm running 6 cells in it.
A 4-cell is like 900. It's in the 900s.
You got
30 is in the 800s.
I run in a Thunder Power 2800.
You got a 32 in that? Power 32?
Yeah, I got a power.
In a Legacy? That's a lot of motor.
Yeah.
A little plane.
I didn't know anything. I was asking people, and
That's a lot of motor, man.
What use? And everybody was saying, use it. E-Flight 32. So I didn't know if anything smaller would work.
28 millimeter can motor would do fine in that.
Probably could have went with an E-Flight 25. And I could probably get away with it and go to.
With the E-Flight 25, you'd have to go to a 4S battery because it's a fairly high kV motor. It's a 970. I think they might have 2 of them though. They might have another one that's a lower kV rating.
An E-Flight 15 would fly that.
Well, how much is it weigh?
With the battery, everything into it, with the 6 cells, I think I'm 62.
Yeah, that's too much for a 15. Power 15.
Well, that's with the 6-cell battery. If I'm dropping the battery down,
you got to go down to someplace around 52 ounces. 52 ounces with it.
I can bring it down because the motor itself weighs 7 ounces.
Right.
That's a lot of motor.
Right.
The motor itself weighs 7 ounces.
E-Flight.
ESC and stuff, and the ESC and the timer, so that was like not even 3 ounces, 3 ounces with that. But the batteries, 11 and a half, 12 ounces.
Yeah, that's a heavy system.
Yeah, I can go weigh. I'll go weigh this motor. This is what we got in the back.
There you go.
And that's a Aerowind 2820/07, and it'll pull a 11.55 prop like nothing with 4 batteries. And
how much is that motor?
How much is it?
Yeah, $40.
$40.
Why are you worried about what it costs? Remember, there is only one hobby: spending money.
Oh, I know that. You spend money. I'm curious if I know because I was impressed.
I'll go weigh it and I'll come back and let you know.
But no, I'm curious to know because I was impressed when I went to electric on how inexpensive the motor was. When I bought the E-Flight 32, it was $75 as opposed to my Thunder Gazer that I just built now with a piped engine, and I spent $725.
There you go.
So that's what I was saying. What's the difference in that? I mean, the cost of the motor is ridiculous.
I'm going to Plettenberg motors, which are about $180 a piece. But even at that, you know,
that's what I heard. They were up to $250 or whatever. That's all.
What depends on which one you're after. I'm getting the 50.
$180 is a hell of a lot cheaper than that. I mean, the motor I got now was a K77. It was $400 for the motor, and then plus the header, then the pipe, the box, the whole setup. It was $700 and change on it. This here, I'm into this couple $100.
Yep. Well, that's one of the big advantages of it. It's a lot less expensive. And even in the long run, it's less expensive. You look at it from the perspective of what does fuel cost today? Let's say it costs nominally $20 a gallon. I think it's more than that.
$32.
Okay, well let's use $20 a gallon just for the sake of easy math. Okay. 20 bucks a gallon. Now, how many on a normal size stunt ship? How many flights do you get on a gallon? You get 20 flights. It's $1 a flight.
Just about.
You get 20 flights a gallon. Right? That's $1 a flight. All right. So a battery costs you about $60 now. A real good quality battery. All right. So that's 3 gallons of fuel. Right? Or 60 flights. You're going to get more than, if you treat the battery right, you're going to get way more than 60 flights out of the battery. Of course, you have to have more than one battery in order to fly all day long. You got to be able to, you know, charge as you go. But as you get more and more into it, you're going to be saving more and more money if you treat your batteries right.
Yeah, well, I always charge them on the balancing side. I charge my batteries, and I got a high
balancer.
What's that?
You charge?
No, I got a 4-port charger. I have a high-tech 4-port charger.
Yeah.
I charge it all fully connected, but also through always balancing the battery.
Yeah, well, you balance them. You can balance. Yeah, right. You balance the batteries as you go. But I'm saying you don't charge them to the balancing plug.
No.
Okay. Some people do.
I don't charge it through I charge it through the main.
It's like an hour to charge a battery through the balancing plug.
Oh, I have the balancing lead plugged into the charger because it's designed to do it that way.
Right.
And you charge it through the regular power leads, and then you have the balancing leads that just sort of balances the cells as you charge.
This weighs 5.8 ounces.
Yeah, 6-ounce motor.
Yeah, how long is the motor he's got in?
I don't know if you can see this. That's the two different Brodak motors. Aerowine, and this one says Brodak on it.
When you talk about a certain millimeter motor, are you talking about the diameter of the armature or what?
The diameter of the outside can.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
What I found is that the Aerowine has more torque. It changes RPMs better. But anytime you go with a bigger electric motor that's thinner, you get more torque out of it. You know, this other one is kind of like the Igor uses that
Axie.
Axie. Long as it has 3 bearings in it, it's long and thin.
Which one?
You can tell the difference in torque. You really can on the electric, and that's why I like the Cobra. They're big. If you look at these new pattern motors that the RC guy uses, them things are thin and huge because they want that propeller not to slow down or whatever they're doing. They're using a lot of torque out of these electric motors.
Paul for a long time, he was saying he was using E-Flight 32s. The only thing he said about them, though, is after a while the bearings wear out on him.
And
now he's rear mounting, and this is one of the points of contention I have with what Paul's doing. And now if it works for him, I'm fine for it. But I don't like rear mounting. The only problems I've ever had with electric is when I rear mounted them. When I front mount them, you're having the cantilevered load. The spinning can is behind the mount, and the prop and the spinner and the processive loads on the prop are ahead of the mount. That you're having the cantilevered loads, and the bearings never wear out. The only problem I had with the electric was rear mounting it. All those loads were in front of the mount, and then I coned out a bearing mount. It made the most god-awful noise you ever heard. And the bearings started
I didn't know how to convert and do that. So when we designed this and we converted this and made this, this is rear mounted.
Yeah. I'll tell you what, try, if you're going to go to a 40 size, you can try this one from Brodak. It's about the same amount of money as the other one. But that has 3 bearings in it, and they do that for rear mounting. So you don't lose the bearings as fast, I guess.
Now, Brodak obviously doesn't make the motor. He hasn't made it.
It just has their name on it.
You know, a lot of the motors we get even from different manufacturers are all made in the same factory.
Yeah.
And you run with how many cells? That motor?
4.
I was running on 4 cell.
Got the 2826.
I can drop a lot of weight going to something like that and going down to a 4 cell.
Yeah, 28, 26, 10. You're going to run on 4 cells.
28, 26, 10.
Yeah.
That's what he said he had written down over here. Norman.
Like a Power 25 is essentially a 28, 26, 10. The Cobra 28, 26, 10 is the same motor. The Axie, same.
That's what he had written down here. The Axie 26, 28, 10.
I started out with Axies, and then I switched over to E-Flight, and then I eventually went to Cobras. Now I'm going to Plettenbergs, as per Paul's recommendation.
Bob, do you have a PDF file of a fuselage nose construction for an electric?
Yeah, I do. I have actually, I have a, give me your email address and I'll send it to you right now.
There was an Axie 28, 26, 12 that he had on the cookbook.
Okay, that's probably still a 4-cell motor.
Okay, here's what.
Let me get Dennis.
What Dennis does on this motor is he calls it a 28, 26, 950 kV.
Yeah, it's a 4-cell motor.
Right. Or he calls it a 3548, because some of them measure the inside and some measure the outside. So that gives you the 2 different.
Give me just a minute. I want to send Dennis something. I got to get his email address. What's your email address, Dan?
It's DENNISSN.2009 at gmail.com.
At Gmail? Okay.
Gmail.com.
Okay. Can you, while you're watching this, can you get email?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll send it here in just a second.
All right.
But yeah, Steve, you can, if you get on the Brodak site, you can find that 28, 26 or whatever that is, or you want to use the inside or outside. But that's got triple bearings in it. So that's more like the Axie motor that you can rear mount.
I can give that a shot and give that a try. I can do that and change that. I have it made in the Shark 35 I showed you guys last time. I don't know if you saw it. I don't know if you were on, but the Shark 35 I have over here. I haven't made in this one, but I'm looking for a lighter motor to put into that so I can put a smaller battery and lighten that up.
Okay.
I don't want to go with that much weight in it.
But yeah, I mean, I got the Vector sitting right here, and that's the same size airplane and everything, and it flies. That flies it fine. I've flown it on both motors, but I front mount it. It's not rear mounted, but this one will rear mount.
The only way I figured it out was rear mounted.
Dennis, I'm sending this thing now, but I've also included another manual that's not about what we're talking about, just because I had room to put it in there. So you have 2 different manuals there.
Okay.
Okay, and I'll send you some other pictures too if I can find them. Hold on.
Why don't you mount them in the front and the rear?
You actually could with this one.
We did. We tried that. We didn't.
You could mount it in the front and throw an extra bearing in the back.
You didn't need to.
It does not distribute its torquing forces more evenly to the structure.
Yeah, but if you don't need to, why do it? It's extra weight and it's extra drag.
Right. Okay.
The other thing is too is that even if you do use rear mount or whatever, and the bearings wear out fast, it's so easy to change the bearings.
Yeah.
And the bearings cost what, $4 a piece?
And you buy them at the hobby
You
shop.
gotta fly a lot of flights like Bob does and Paul does, and these guys who are flying, Chris, you know, they fly 30, 40 flights a day getting ready for contests, plus their normal 10 or 20 flights. You know, I mean, I don't know. It ain't no different than a glow motor. You burn out glow plugs and bearings go out in them. You know, they should be changed every so often. And I don't know if there's really any difference. All I know is that they change out really easy. I've changed out bearings just to pull them out and put them in to see how easy it was.
The size of the casing of the motor, does that matter by any chance?
Pardon me?
The size of the casing of your electric motor, does it matter by any chance? I've seen Bowles now is using when it's a real small, real thin motor.
Yeah, that's a Plettenberg.
Yeah.
The Hangout motor, it was really small, really thin.
Yeah, that's this one here too. But what I always front mount because Bob got me front mounting, and what's nice about it is if you front mount a motor, it can be 2 inches long, it can be 3 inches long, it can be 1 inch long, and it'll fit in there. When you back mount a motor, if you use too short of a motor, your propeller is into your fuselage. And that's the other reason I like front mount. You can try different motors, and it doesn't put the propeller in a different spot.
You can move the shaft also in there.
Right, you slide it on the shaft.
Slide on the shaft.
What about in-runners and outrunners? What's the difference? I mean, I know to look at it and tell you what the difference visually is, but
In runner, you need a gearbox reducer. They run a lot more RPM.
Did those things come through, Dan?
Hang on. Now I may lose my connection here, but let me check, and I'll get back in if I lose connection here.
Okay.
it seems like if that's the case with a geared in-runner, it might be able to make more accurate adjustments when the ESC sends speed control changes to it. Or am I just imagining that?
Well, you know, that's what, you know, they talk about these different ESCs, like one's every 1/200th of a second and one's 150 thousandths of a second. I don't know if you could tell the difference, really. If it's adjusting,
Yeah.
you know, that's 200,000 times in a second. It's adjusting compared to 150,000 in a second. That's a lot faster than my reflexes.
Oh, I can feel that.
Yeah, you can feel that. That's why, you know, I said, "Oh, this was so much faster." It's like, okay, that's like an RC. It's like now that, you know, the speed of the RC is so much faster, and it's like, I like to crash slower. I don't know, you know. But to me, I've used all the different radios, and for my ability, I can't tell a difference. And I don't know if anyone of the other guys can either.
Are you still flying radio?
Yeah. Yep.
You know anybody who wants a virtually brand new Spectrum DX8? I got it's got like an hour on it.
Is it DSM or DSML? The newest.
It's a
DSMR.
What's that now?
The DSM or DSMR? How old is it?
The Spectrum? I don't know. It's downstairs. I'm telling you the truth. Like a guy, I was going to get into radio again, and a guy sold me it. He traded for a wing, and I'm really not going to get into radio, so I want to get rid of it. It's like brand new with a case and everything. So
if it's an early Spectrum DSM, those are the ones that have all the glitching problems.
Okay, I don't.
So you need to make sure it's a DSMR.
Okay, I can go get it and check it out.
Yeah.
Bob, I got your emails. Thank you.
Yeah, that should help a little bit.
We
can go offline.
I'll find out. I'll find out too, Bob, if anybody wants. I fly all high-tech stuff, so I got all the receivers and stuff like that, so I don't change.
Yeah, I want to let it go for like $150. You know, it's got receivers and everything.
Yeah, that's a hell of a price, you know. It's like mine's got a 40 model memory. I don't have 40 models.
Let me go get it. I'll see what it looks.
Yeah. I'm interested in that.
Yeah, they're a good radio, especially with like plug and play stuff. Or you can get this stuff from Horizon and everything's all set up and you just want to mess around. Because I don't fly RC very much, but you know, I still have the stuff. It's like I got the airplane done, almost done to put that in it, but I just haven't finished it. You know, that's a 145, and I mean, you can see how big the prop is, and that's just the break-in prop. But if I get it together, I may fly it once or twice a year or something. I got plans on going out here a couple weeks after I get my eye fixed, and we always have a picnic and a cookout and stuff like that, and I'll go fly. But just because that was the guys that I flew with from in my 20s, we all get together at least once a year and go fly. But like I used to.
Oh, wait a minute. You know what I did?
I can't believe you just didn't want to fly RC every once in a while, Bob. It's just kind of cool. I don't fly very often, but
I got too many hobbies. I play a lot of music. I do the open mics and stuff, and I'm hosting open mics now. I just haven't got time to do it all anymore. And if I'm going to focus on airplanes, I'm going to go back to what I know.
Yeah.
Bob, you said when you were doing RC, you were doing pattern and IMAC.
What's that?
You said when you were doing RC, you were doing pattern.
Yeah, I was doing ballistic pattern back in the 80s.
And IMAC?
No, just ballistic pattern. Tipperaris and EU1As and XLTs and
Or DSMX.
Tippos and all that stuff. It wasn't IMAC.
Back when they were running Rossies and Picos and
UISs.
Anything that would turn up 16,000 RPM on a pipe.
UISs and had an EU1A. I got into the top 10 at the Nats, so I did okay.
Well, gentlemen, I got to leave. I have a contest this weekend.
Good luck.
Good luck.
So I got to get all packed and get ready here.
What?
But
all right.
But I appreciate all the information that you shared. It's very helpful. And Bob, thank you again for the email on that information.
Yeah, thanks for letting us see your new shirt and coming and hanging out with us.
Really?
This ain't a new shirt. This is an old rag that I wear. So.
Boy, I'd have hated to seen it when it came out of the package.
I have I got several of these are very loud fluorescent color. When I was after I had my heart attack, I had to go for physical therapy, and so in the physical therapy, you're wearing gym clothes. So this is one of them shirts.
Has it got a pocket on it?
No, this doesn't have a pocket.
Well, I thought maybe after you have a heart attack, they make you wear something like that so people will notice you if you're laying on the ground again.
That too. You become highly visible. So.
It's like, damn, step over him or get him help. One of the two.
Yeah, I was watching a clip of Sinbad, and he was talking about having a girlfriend that's younger than he is, and the problem with these young girls, they don't know the signs of stroke. So he's sitting there eating dinner and he's making faces at her. He's having a stroke. Yeah, and he says, "Well, I didn't know you're having a stroke." Well, you were making faces at me, So, so
this is DSM.
Oh, you can throw that away.
Really?
Yeah, that's a bad one. This one everybody complained about. It gave Spectrum a bad name.
Anyway, good evening, guys. We'll talk to you later.
I know a lot of people that still use them. It just depends on how many people fly at the field or how many guys got stuff on at one time, and
you got like 5 guys flying, you're gonna get glitches with it.
Yeah, but if you're, well, it's just like at control line fields, these radio control fields. You're lucky if you can get one buddy to show up to fly with you.
Yeah.
Let alone worry about 5 people all having an airplane in the air at the same time.
Yeah.
But
over the years. Well, gentlemen, I'm gonna have to punch out too. My doggy needs to go out.
All right.
Okay.
Our eyeballs are floating.
Time for a wrap, anyway. it's 5 minutes till closing time, and I got to drive to Huntersville in the morning. So thank y'all all for coming in, and everybody have a good weekend.
You too, Rusty. Thanks.
Right. Thank you guys on YouTube too. We appreciate the donations, and we will see all of you on Monday. All right. Fair winds, tight lines. See you later.
Take it easy.
That's it.